Yeah, the last year was horrible. I got married though, that was really nice. Yeah, thanks for having me. I have to give back some compliments. I think CU Asia is one of the best co-working space conferences or co-working conferences in the world. Very well organized, top-notch topics, awesome people, and always in a nice country. So today I want to talk a little bit about partnerships, and I feel a little bit like the co-working grandfather, because we started 10 years ago and there seems like a lot of time in the co-working history. We learned, like Steve said, we learned a lot about co-working, and we had also a lot of failures, or you can call them challenges and learnings. We had been through tough times, but I can say that I feel I'm really happy to share the knowledge with you, because one of the main ideas of Beta House from the beginning on was spreading the idea of co-working. And 10 years ago we had to do this because there were no co-working spaces, so we were running a lot of workshops and stuff like this to make it easier for people to run co-working spaces. First, my girlfriend says this is a little cocky, the picture, so
you mean your wife?
Yeah, you're right. Happens still all the time, was in September. Don't tell her, she might be there later at the dinner or something. So, everything was said. I started Beta House with 5 friends, and I'm still being a CEO there. I started a new company or initiative called One Coworking, which I will also talk a little bit about later. I'm really into co-working spaces, into individual co-working spaces. I love going to a city and learning about why people do a co-working space, what's the special thing about it. I hate stuff like Starbucks because it's the same everywhere. So the world would be so boring if there would be only Starbucks and also WeWork. So I really like the difference between the different spaces. And I'm into communities, of course. But a little bit about Beta House, for those of you who haven't been there, this is half of our building. We are like one of the first spaces in Europe, let's say. We're pretty much grassroots. We have a business focus because we need this focus to survive, but our heart is on the community, on entrepreneurs. We really like to run events. And we happen to have locations in more than one city, because back then lots of people came to us and asked, hey, can I open a Beta House in Barcelona? And we somehow started doing that. So by now there's a Beta House in Berlin, in Hamburg, in Barcelona. And I'm really happy because last week we got something like we won an application to be able to build the first Beta House in Albania to help the local startup ecosystem. We also have different other projects. You can all look them up later. One of them is our startup pitch program. It's called Beta Pitch. We also consult corporates with our department called Beta House X, and we have our own accelerator program called Hardware Accelerator. But everything you can look up on our website. I want to stress a little bit on One Coworking because it slightly touches the idea of partnerships. Because 2 years ago I realized Beta House has, by then we had 25 partner spaces that we would send our members to, and that we cooperated with, and it started to get a little messy organizing those spaces. And one of the ideas behind One Coworking is to just make it super easy for members of one space to go roaming to another space. I have to say, still like really early in the beginning, but I really believe co-working is a global thing, and there needs to be some global approach. Only being part of Beta House doesn't make me happy anymore, so I want to have the feeling to be part of many co-working spaces, and we try to kind of solve this as One Coworking. But now, let's talk about partnerships. So, first of all, I want to know, the classic co-working conference question: who of you runs a co-working space? Please raise your hand. Great. Who of you wants to start a co-working space? It never gets old, alright. And who of you thinks that you have a partnership of some type with an outside organization? 1, 2 partnership agreements, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, can I have some examples from your point of view? What type of partnerships that are? Who wants to kind of present your partnership? his partnership or her. Okay?
Hey, I'm Varun from 91 Springboard from India. So one of the partnerships that we have is with a global bank called Barclays, and they have a goal to try to get fintech startups that they can partner with and deliver new products and services to their clients. But what they don't know how to do is how to build and run and manage a co-working space. So they said, can we work with you, India's largest co-working space company, to build the community, and then we'll bring our folks and meet all of these members who are within the space and also people who visit the space for the various events. And then we'll find the companies that we want to do partnerships and investments into. So that's an example of a partnership we've done for one space.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do we have something else in the audience? Another type of partnership? Free products? Anything? I just go to the back quickly.
Hi guys, I'm Ashna. I'm from 91 Springboard. I think the other kind of partnerships that we often end up doing is most like a lot for events. A lot of these events that we conduct in our space, our partner, if there's someone else doing a good job, we'll invite them to our space and have our members have the luxury of having access to communities and other people outside 91 Springboard as well. So I think that's another.
And co-working solution. Also very good, yes.
Yes.
Okay. There's another one, Steve?
Yes, are you from 91 Coworking?
I'm from 91 Springboard. We opened a new space in Bali. My name is Steve, I'm from Ubud in Bali. So to go on the other end of the scale and go really micro, we have partnerships with around 25 locations around Ubud. If it's the gym, if it's a restaurant, if it's the thing like that. So when people come to town, they've got this network of places where they've got a good deal. So it's
Great.
on the other side.
Yes. There was one more over there. Is anybody else over here that wants to share? Okay, so one more maybe. You had something to...
My name is Abdullah, I'm from Kuwait. We're going to start a co-working space soon in Kuwait. And my partnership is with the National Fund of Kuwait, which is a government initiative to finance startups and small businesses. So we do have a partnership with them. It's not with a contract, but it's based on some negotiations that they're going to have a pipeline of entrepreneurs flowing into our co-working space. So that's one of the type of partnerships that we have.
That's a great example of a partnership. I have to say, from our experience over the years, the biggest problem we have is to decide which partnership to do and which not to do. Because if you're successful as a co-working space, you suddenly have emails coming in, you want to partner this, you want to partner there, and you in the beginning you're like, yeah, let's do everything. But then in the end you lose the overview and maybe you put some time into stuff that is not really beneficial. So my biggest aim today is to give something like an idea of how we approach this. But first, I mean, it was already a couple of examples were already mentioned. I sat down and compiled a list to first answer the question, why would we actually engage in a partnership? And please, if you have another thing to add, just speak up, because it's probably not complete. So one of the most obvious reasons probably is that you earn more money or boost revenue. I remember in the beginning of Beta House, we were really broke, and everything that looked like money, we said, yeah, come on. And the corporates, they really looked like money, so we were really keen to do corporate partnerships. We also, of course, another way of earning more money or boosting your revenue is bringing more members to the space. Lead generation, can be caused by partnership. Free advertising, which somehow is related to lead generation. Or another, like something that Steve just mentioned, is supporting your members, giving them discounts or free products. It's also a great benefit of partnerships. Another thing though is to make your employees happier. Organize give them a discount or free workout hours in a local fitness studio. That's something we also do. And the last, sometimes it's not really money that's coming out directly, but it's maybe part of your long-term strategy. If you do engage with your city hall or the government and you want to be involved in the process of policy making, that's something that also makes sense sometimes, even though it doesn't support your members, and it also immediately doesn't boost the revenue. I have some ideas put together: revenue boost, sponsorship, corporate deals. The corporate pays for everything. You know, you have even the hot desking platforms that bring in members. They boost your revenue. For supporting members, some ideas: free or discounted products, workshops, courses that are for free for the members are also a great benefit. Infrastructure. I give an example later where a corporate paid infrastructure for members that the members could use afterwards for free. Accelerator programs are super because they support the entrepreneur, support the entrepreneurs, access to tools. This list is very long. For the employees, in Beta House we have a language course that is free for employees because we partnered with a language school, and the language school gets probably more customers for that. And yeah, I mean, you can look it up, it was just for inspiration. I want to go a little bit into detail, into concrete partnerships we did. Some of them successfully and some of them actually in hindsight not very successful. I will tell you only afterwards what was successful. So one very old partnership we did was with Scout. Immobilien Scout is a big German real estate platform, or actually a way to find your flat or to find your office space, but the old school way. And they came over and they thought, why can't we send all our employees to work at Beta House if they want? Because maybe like this, our old-fashioned company becomes a little more cool and people are more likely to work for us. So we made a partnership, we sold them a shitload of day tickets and we had to organize something in return. We organized inspirational talks at the headquarters. Every 4 weeks we would send one of our members over to give a talk there. And we designed their startup lab and accelerator program. We also helped them to set this up. The outcome was, they paid for this, we had more revenue. Awesome, we could buy something for this. Just one example.
How much?
I would be actually open to share the sheet I made to kind of try to sell them something that I didn't know how to sell. But it was like in the 10,000s. Did you ask? I look at, no, sorry, over there. It was in the 10,000. It was, in hindsight, you know, a real consulting company would have sold this for hundreds of thousands.
But 10,000 once off or 10,000 a month?
No, I think it was, to be honest, it was 90,000 bucks over the course of 6 months. But, you know, it's really, there's a lot of stuff in it that I had to explain to make it more, make you understand what we did. So, the second thing was a really nice project. Conrad is an electronics retailer in Germany, and they wanted to connect to the startup IoT scene, like the makers and the hardware startups. So they, after a long negotiation process, they agreed to buy us or give us all the tools that we need to run an electronics lab, something like a fab lab, to imagine it. The benefit was that our members can go there and use the tools that startups could build their prototypes. The problem, I mean, it would have never made sense financially to create this lab because the tools, they would be so expensive, and from our knowledge of our member base, we already knew they would never really pay for this. But in this case, we could use the funds from Conrad, we could build an electronics lab, we had to operate the space, and our members could use it. And Conrad had a way to connect. Conrad was doing events there. I mean, by now this model is probably pretty straightforward in Coworking. But it was great because the members loved it, they had access to tools, and Conrad loved it as well. And we did a little bit of a margin on top of this. Alright. The third example is actually still running. This is not running anymore, I'll tell you why later. This is a very easy partnership with Expass. It's a German, not only language school, they also help expatriates coming to Berlin to settle down, to register their business, to basically have everything that you need as an entrepreneur when coming to Germany. And it works really well. We promote the language courses, we get free language courses ourselves, we got maybe new members coming in, and everybody's happy, right? And there are millions of those partnerships out there. Just to give you some more ideas, there's like, I actually put one co there, but there's also co-pass, there's stuff that brings members, and I consider them actually partnerships. You can have maybe free headphones from some company that just released the headphones, you can have free software, you can have free mobility or discounted mobility services, events, tickets to events, all that stuff is possible for co-working space. But now, the problem is, if I have, I mean, for some time we had a wide range of partnerships and it really was super confusing, and nobody really used them. That was, I mean, you make this agreement with a partner, your members don't use the product, so it's really like, in a way, it's stupid. So, and sometimes you spend time on a project that really doesn't, I mean, for instance, when we did, when we built an office for somebody else, what does it really help us except that we earn money? So we developed, in our internal team discussions, we developed a couple of guidelines how to decide which partnerships to take. And some of them, I mean, the first one is pretty obvious. It's a basic principle of running a co-working space. You have to know your members, and you have to ask yourself all the time, do my members really benefit from that? And in our case, that's the Beta House example. We have freelancers, I mean, this is basically our list of typical members, and we try to kind of check, does the partnership make at least half of the members happy? And that's a super easy way, it takes 5 minutes and you're already a step further. Then you can maybe think a little bit more, you can say, okay, there's local stuff, what Steve just mentioned. We have like a discount for the local haircutter for our members because it's just next door. And you can have discounts at stores. A really helpful thing is having also a connection. In Beta House you can sign up for a local mobility provider for scooters. So we are the sign-up point, it's really good for the members even get a discount, and it's cool. So the other things are thinking about your members' practical problems when they come to your space, and we have a lot of people coming to Berlin for the first time, so the language course for German language really helps. I doubt that they learn it fast, but it's really... So this is, we had also a project for health insurance. It's a couple of points to get you start thinking. And then the last category I thought it was worthy to mention was stuff that really helps you in your business to grow, like free software, mentoring programs. We have like an accounting company that comes to our space, hopes for new business, new leads, but in exchange they provide free accounting consultation. All right. But then, if you still don't know if there's a good partnership, you can maybe go a step deeper. You can ask yourself, why the fuck am I doing this co-working space, and what is my vision for this, and does this partnership really help me and my vision and my goals to succeed? So you can ask how does the partner comply with your values? How does it help me on a daily basis to be better at business? In the case of Beta House, just for you to have an idea, we use the OKR system. So the Beta House vision, in general, to keep it very broad, is empowering entrepreneurship. The way we do this is we operate a space with all the offers to make people happy, to make people more professional. And these are our objectives. It's supporting our members, providing an awesome experience, growing our community, and also be very well organized. So this is something you can always think if there's a partner coming and asking to make a partnership, does this fit in any of the four objectives? Does it support the members? Is it maybe a party that is an awesome experience, or does it bring me new leads? By the way, this is part of the OKR framework. that was already mentioned before. You can find more on this online. We use this to manage our company. This is just a little bit of it, but it could also help you. And then you look at the values. I mean, why should I partner with a cigarette company if it doesn't fit my values? Although maybe if you smoke, you're happy. I don't know, but the cigarettes a bit. But right. So, and then I somehow feel a little bit stupid because I make it really technical. Maybe it's the German way to approach this. But when I was talking with my co-founders about partnerships, they were like, yeah, but we earn money. And I was like, no, but it's not really helping the community. So I just draw this. I said, okay, we have a lot of opportunities. How do we do the partnership choice? So I just draw like 2 dimensions. On top is money. Everything that's up here earns a lot of money. This earns us a lot of money. Back then it was money. So, and this is community. This is good, supporting the members. This is good for the community. That is something what we really like, which is deep in our vision, what we want to achieve. So everything that's here is good. It earns money and it's good for the community. The Conrad example that you learned about earlier is really up here. It's a great project because it really it fits in to everything we want to do. The Immobilien Scout project, really, nobody from Immobilien Scout really came working to our space, and also this inspirational talks we organized for corporate really did not pay into any of our objectives. Maybe we earned a little bit of money and could buy nice things for our co-working space, but in general we would never do this again. And the worst ever that happened to us, we got a stupid mobile phone charger for free. Many of them, we could put them into our space. They really were ugly and they were really hard to use, and nobody used them, and we didn't even get paid for it. So this is the red area. If you don't get paid for something, and if it's not helping the community, really, I mean, I don't know, maybe don't do it. And this area is okay, or actually it's a good area where you do stuff for the community, but maybe you don't get paid. I think some discounts, really easy stuff. Some people just drop products at our reception desk and say, give it to your members for free. We do that if it's a nice product. Unfortunately, it's not this headphone. I tried for a long time to get the Bose headphone. Didn't work yet. If somebody has contacts to Bose, let me know. But it's my maybe in the future. All right. I mean, quick recap. If you now think about the Immobilien Scout thing, revenue boost, really good. But maybe you have a little bit of stakeholder engagement. Maybe you want to do a project with Immobilien. It could have been a follow-up project that works. I mean, it's not entirely bad. You could really be laying the groundwork for a long-term project, but in general you don't have any member support or you don't have any employee support, so it's actually not so valuable for what we're doing. So the other example, the Conrad Electronics Lab, was a revenue boost. We got new members that wanted to use the lab. We really had the feeling that we supported a fraction of our members. Not so sure about the employees, stakeholder. I mean, this was a really perfect project. But when the funding was over, we stopped it. That was a bad. I mean, I should have had another line of sustainability here. Maybe the next presentation, next year. So this was in general a very good project. Then the German language course did not pay in so much, but a lot of member support, and also for our employees are mostly from all over the world. They have free German courses. It's great. They love it. They think Beta House is a really awesome company because they even get free food and free language classes. And so that is why that is a good one. And this one is new. I didn't mention it before. One other rather low-key sponsorship, partnership that's changing from month to month. We have at Beta House, we have a beer barbecue event every month, and we usually it's sponsored by one of our members. We have a couple of bigger companies that have the funds. and they buy the beer and the pizza. And again, doesn't really, maybe it makes the membership more attractive, so I gave it a one plus for the revenue, and it supports the members because they have an awesome community event. The employees also get drunk, so got a plus there. I mean, you basically get the idea by now what I'm talking about. It's such a big thing. So that were the examples of Beta House sponsorships and partnerships. Do you have any questions by now? Because the next I would do is negotiation tactics.
Yeah.
But before, yeah.
I've got questions. Go ahead.
Sorry. There we go.
Okay, so if you're dealing with these bigger sort of companies, I don't know, say you're an IBM or whatever it is, how are you setting the expectations for the partnership? Because like they're coming in, they think they're going to get, I've got 3 questions, and then around that, the attribution management of the partnership. So how are you attributing the member from the space actually engaged with their product or did that? And then are you putting any systems in place to track that? Yeah. And the other thing is, do you think you're selling yourself out if you then corporatize and just put sponsorships and all the things that would have an impact in the community?
Yeah. So, thanks for the question. I have, for the first 2 questions, I have a little bit of, we have a tool for that, how to calculate, for instance, when we do, when we advertise something in the newsletter, and I will explain it later. The 3rd one was over selling out, right? How do we sell out to corporates? It's no, but it's really it's the difficult. I mean, the difficult question is what does it mean? You know?
Yeah, like how branded can it get? Like
yeah.
How much just like the barbecue example there. You're saying sponsor can hold a short talk at the community, you know, and then all of a sudden they're going on for 15 minutes, and then the barbecue, the whole vibe of the barbecue is ruined by someone taking over and that.
Yeah, it's for this particular situation, it's the gut feeling of the community manager who has a quick chat in the beginning. But it has been a big topic. I somehow feel it was more. In the beginning of Beta House, we had also our members, they were a little bit more, how do I say that? That they were quickly disappointed when you do commercial things.
Yeah.
This changed, by now it's a business and everybody is aware of that and also sees the benefits from that. So we just try to communicate what we think is the benefit, and we just keep on the conversation. The Vata, this charging thing I was talking about, everybody was really like, Christoph, why the fuck how many millions did you get from Vata? And I didn't even get paid for that, you know? So that was a little fuck up, which it's basically case-by-case decisions.
And then the attribution to the partnership, if the partner is not, do you ever do a deal with them where they felt like they're not getting the value out of that engagement? So, are you tracking that?
We try to track basically everything. We have it in our onboarding emails, the partnership list. We see how many people click on it. We basically try to get back, not with a haircutter, but with a little more higher profile partners. We try to understand how many people signed up, and so that we also know it's good for us, we can renegotiate the next time. Sometimes the first deal you have is not the best deal.
And then you're collecting that data and then reporting it.
Yeah. We couldn't have done this when we were only 3, I have to say. Now we have a 3-person marketing team, and also automations make it a lot easier, but still I see that this is only possible when you have a certain size and stuff. But then it pays out, because then you can negotiate tougher, and yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, over there. 91 Springboard. Do you have a microphone? No.
So, when you're working with a partner, let's say you partner with Beta Beer, and let's say they serve the beer which was not good. So basically the quality of the product or the thing that they're offering, let's say it's good for, out of the revenue, member, employees, I said it's member support. It's something which is for the members. but the quality of the thing that they gave was not really good. So probably after I've done one thing with them, I have not go ahead with them, that's but how do I ensure in the first place that I don't end up with the wrong person or wrong product that I'm going to try to help my members with? How do I ensure that? You said it's mostly on the gut feel of the community manager, but maybe some 2-3 things that we have to keep in mind that also helps you with the gut feel?
Yeah, I mean, really, step on that. So, quickly, I mean, we created this guideline, yeah? And also, this is like an internal sheet that we give to people that work for us that then decide on partnerships. So, basically, this is already the guideline.
Basically, will it be useful for my
employees, yeah.
But then, is the person right to give that thing? The thing is, I want to serve my members beer, but this beer or beer A or beer B will be right.
Yeah, that is, you have to taste it. Time, 10 minutes? Alright, so, thank you for the question. We move on quickly to the hands-on part. So, one of the things that I learned at Beta House is that actually we have a big value for partners. Usually you come out of this situation when you're in a little co-working space that you wonder why do they come and you don't have an idea, but you have to be on top and understand your own business a little bit. You have to know how many followers you have. You have to basically make a sheet of all the media data. I will add this to the presentation. I'm still waiting for the redacted version of the Beta House sheet where we what we send to our partners to show how good we are. I mean how like proper we are and what they can get out of it. It's how many people to go to a coffee shop, what type of people are there, demographics, the usual stuff. This is a good preparation for the best negotiation outcome. Second, it comes down a little bit to also your question, Michael, that you write down the expectations of everybody, and then you, if it's important, if you have the time to meet up and catch up if those expectations are met, or end the partnership. Nothing is worse than an unfulfilled partnership, and I think sometimes we're also not good at it, but we always try to write something. Amazon, for instance, sends a 10 pages document if you get free software from them. They have it from their side, you know. So, and then third, you have to measure impact, and the easiest way is if you do this electronically. It gets a little bit more understandable when I go to the next slide. So, of course, once you have the partnership, the last probably remaining point is how to get it out and how to make your members aware of that. So this is like a small compiled list. What we do, of course, we have a blog post or a press release or social media once in the beginning. But then we integrate it in our website. But more importantly, we have onboarding emails that we can constantly update. So every new member gets one email after 2 weeks that is only focused on the partnerships and on the program. We have leaflets at the sign up at the reception. And we have, with Cobot, we hacked it together a little bit, so there's one thing in Cobot which we use to operate Beta House, where we have a list of all the partnerships. And one thing that is, I think, the best thing, I mean, that you can use it for, if you sell, if you're at the community manager, you want to sell a membership at your space. For instance, with One Coworking, I usually say, now, if you become member of Beta House through the One Coworking partnership, you have access to 150 spaces in the world with your Beta House membership. And mostly people are like, wow. Or maybe a little lower key, you can have a free haircut next door if you become a member today. And this altogether kind of brings you the full circle, because this is electronically trackable, most of it. I mean, here you can talk to your salesperson or to your community manager how successful you feel it is, and that with the information you can get back to your sponsor or to your partner and renegotiate or finish the deal. And there we go. You will find some resources that we usually send, the Beta House storybook, that is you always send to partners. We have, there's a blog post about the announcement of the language school. We have that's a special thing that we released today is we have an internal Excel sheet that we use to calculate the outreach price. If somebody wants to get the message out, this also applies for partners about an event, about anything that fits our values. We use this because there are industry numbers, industry prices for this, and we just fill in our numbers there, and then we have the price what we need to charge. And you don't. I think you get this thing. Oh, you actually can find the thing here.
Take a photo of that.
Yeah. This is where you find the whole presentation, and you can also probably click on the links. I think time is over, right? So, 5 minutes. Right, so maybe 5 minutes for the last questions, if there are any.
Hi, my name is Minik from CO3 Social Office, Kuala Lumpur. My question is there any contract with those partnerships? If yes, how long for the contract?
I mean, you can't afford to let a lawyer draft it because it's too much work. But really, the rule of thumb is just write down in natural language what you just agreed on. It already brings you half the way. If everybody included, even in an email, you can write, hey, we agreed on this, are we on the same page, the bullet points, and at least in Germany this also is already half the way to a contract. If the other side says, okay, just an email, yeah. If you have a 1 million partnership in value, maybe you draft the official letter, but most things are very small partnerships, so you just write an email. Yeah.
I'm from Dojo Bali. How does it work technically? Do you have a membership card where then they can go to the local hairdresser to it, or you don't plan to publish it just publicly on blogs or on website?
Actually, that's most of the time it is individually agreed, because the hairdresser, for instance, is with a membership card. But there are also partnerships where people just say, yeah, you're from Beta House, all right, just come. And in terms, for instance, for the Amazon service, they actually call me if they check the company that wants free Amazon service, then they check if it's registered at Beta House, and if not, they call me and ask me if that is a member. Happened once only, this situation, but I was surprised as a person doing that, right? And so it's always different, but one thing rule of thumb again is we try to only send it to members. We don't put the special instruction links on the website. You have to be a member, but maybe people send it to their friends. I mean, yes. Yeah. All right, maybe last question, if there's any. Oh.
Hi, I'm Maria from Ubud, Bali. Do you have any experience of, I'm sure you have a long-term kind of partnership with a brand or corporate or tech tool, and is there any experience of having, like in the middle of your agreement, let's say 12 months of partnership agreement, and when you reach 6 months and then suddenly you think about your value, you think about your engagement and your communications, and you thought like, okay, I think we have bigger value, and or vice versa, or they think that, okay, it's too big kind of partnership, it's not going to work. Have you ever been in that kind of experience, and how do you manage to kind of control that?
No, this way I don't remember that this happened. The other way that we were all not happy and stopped it and took it out of our office, of our offer, yes. But like, I mean, you probably could just talk. Set up a meeting and talk again, but it never really happened in our case.
From your experience, I mean, like, what was the size of like Beta House when you first actually struck one of those like awesome partnerships? To make it like the corporate product, hey, you guys actually relevant to it.
Yeah. I think the one with the MOV and Scout was really like after 2.5 years, and we had around 300 members. That was, I'm not sure, I've never had the experience of smaller space, so I'm not sure how that works, but in our case, it only worked. This is like really valuable, I mean, it brought in money, so I expected they really saw value in Beta House, and that was basically also because of our size, I think. All right.
Did you calculate how many of the people actually came in?
Yeah.
Did?
5.
That's an expensive membership.
I was the same. But there were like 500, or I don't know, 300, 400 employees in Mobius. It was like 10 minutes away from Beta House.
Yeah, right.
Alright, so I think, one last question. Alright.
Sorry, this one last.
I've got my...
This one last. It seems to me that everything's doing great. So, do you have any bad experience that you have to share, and how did you deal with it?
I'm a very positive guy. I forget the bad things quickly. No. Yes, but no, it's really the you mean in partnerships itself. Yeah, but it's just the bad experience is in the beginning. I think there were more of this battery charger examples. I don't remember them in particular. But when you try to sell something and while you sell it, you actually realize that why you just do it for the money, and this is always a bad experience. And we did it for many years. It made us somehow really excited because we in this group, you know, when a company with the name Siemens or Deutsche Bahn or Telekom, and suddenly there's a representative asking you for some stupid reason, you are like, oh my god, you know, and that is something that was a bad experience. And I think we now are just really professional and say like, okay, let's see what they're talking about. Maybe we don't do it, maybe do it, but it's not this like following this big corporations just because they're big corporation. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you, Christoph.